Oh, here's a crazy trademark story. So this guy calls up my client and he says, so this guy he applied to register the trademark Portland SEO. Okay, so he applies for the trademark and then he calls up my client who does SEO in Portland. And he says to my client, you can't use the words Portland SEO. I have it trademarked, right? So my client calls me and he's like, what the heck? And so I looked it up and this guy, this knucklehead, had actually applied to register. He didn't hire an attorney, right? So he like totally screwed it up. So he applied to register the trademark Portland SEO for SEO services in Portland, Oregon, right? And so he was like, this is it, man. I'm going to be able to make it so that nobody else in Portland can use the words Portland SEO. And I'm like, not so fast, not so fast. So there's a rule in trademark law that you cannot register marks that are generic or merely descriptive. I mean, you can, but there's
super generic.
Well, generic and descriptive are two different things. You can register them, but there's extraordinary proof that needs to happen before you're able to get a trademark registration for terms that are merely descriptive. So Portland is merely descriptive for the geographic area that is Portland, and SEO is merely descriptive for search engine optimization services, also commonly known as SEO. So his entire mark is descriptive, right? And he's trying to use that to make it so that other people who also do SEO in Portland can't say that they do SEO. And so I wrote him back and I said, listen, you cannot get a trademark that prevents other people from fairly describing their goods and services. So if he had like something else plus Portland SEO, you know, bulletproof Portland SEO or something, you know, that would be one thing. We would still, though, he would still be required to disclaim the exclusive right to use whatever descriptive terms are in the trademark, so that he wouldn't be able to prevent other people from using those descriptive terms, right? But he would be able to prevent them from using bulletproof Portland SEO, but not Portland SEO, right? So I wrote him back and I told him that, and then I had a good laugh when the trademark office rejected his trademark application. So he spent the time and the money to apply to register this, but wasn't able to get the registration because, you know, had he actually called a competent trademark attorney, they would have told him, you're not going to be able to register this because it's not registerable, right? So yeah, those are kind of crazy stories. So again, trademarks don't exist to prevent people from fairly describing their goods and services. They exist to allow consumers to distinguish between goods and services X and goods and services Y. And if your brand is Portland SEO and other people are also doing SEO in Portland, the term Portland SEO is not going to enable the consumer to distinguish between your Portland SEO and this other Portland SEO, if you follow. Yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of a crazy trademark story. But there are so many myths that people have about trademark law. One of my favorites is, oh, you can't register common words. It's like, yeah, you absolutely can register common words, but it depends on what they're for. Like
define
Apple,
a common word. Okay.
Like Apple, people will say, oh, you can't register Apple. And I'm like, well, it's registered. It's registered for computer services. Now you can't register Apple for apples, right? So if you're an apple cart guy and you're selling apples on the side of the street, you're right. You can't register the word Apple for your Apple selling services. But if you make computers and phones, you can absolutely register Apple for those things. Why? Because Apple is not descriptive of your goods and services. It's what we call an arbitrary trademark. We have taken the word Apple and we have just decided to use it as a brand. Same thing for Orange, right? Orange is a brand of amplifiers. We can use it for amplifiers, but we cannot use it to sell oranges, okay? Or anything orange, right? So if you had orange pop and you wanted to call it orange, that's not going to work. If you want to call it orange crush, fine, right? Because that's now sort of arbitrary. We're calling it orange crush. What's another example?
So it would only work really for the SEO guys. So it's like, okay, well, what if you just get massive and you have a bunch of people trying to rip you off? Right? Let's say the Portland SEO guy got nationwide and he was like, I just don't want people using my name, but it would be easier if you just had bulletproof Portland SEO, even if you were $1 billion company.
Okay, so let's say that you're a bazillion-dollar company and you have nationwide recognition. Then we would say that your descriptive trademark has acquired secondary meaning. What that means is
like
that
it's its own thing.
Right. We would say it's acquired secondary meaning, meaning that when everybody sees Portland SEO, oh my gosh, they know exactly who you are. It's that big, huge conglomerate, right? So if the mark, despite its descriptive nature, acquires secondary meaning, then it can be used as a trademark. But recall the reason that we have trademarks, right? To distinguish goods and services. So your trademark has become so well known that now everybody knows about you and your goods or you and your services. And if that's the case, then we can say, you know, that you deserve a trademark registration because everybody knows about your mark and it's become distinctive. Even though it's descriptive, it's become distinctive for your goods and services through your continued exclusive and sort of notorious use of the trademark over a period of years. You have gained that sort of recognition. So yes, there are ways that trademarks that are descriptive can become registrable. There's a company in Portland. I was born in Portland. There's a company in Portland and they make whisks. And the company is called Best Whisk. Now, best and things like, you know, best and supreme and premium and all of that, those are considered merely laudatory, which is kind of a subset of merely descriptive, right? In other words, it doesn't really say anything distinctive about the goods or services, but it's just like, oh, these are the best whisks, these are supreme. And doesn't everybody have the right to say that they make the best whisks, if that's, you know, if that's what they want to say? Sure, they do. So things that are merely laudatory are also, it's hard to register those as a trademark because they're not distinctive. Well, again, if you use that trademark exclusively over time, even a descriptor like best can become so well known in the marketplace that people in your industry know. Like if you say, oh, who's Best Whisk? Oh, they're this whisk company in Portland and they make really great whisks. They really do make the best whisks. Anyway, but yeah, they got a trademark for Best Whisks because over the years, people came to associate that name with their brand of whisks. So I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying there are extra measures, extra proof, extra things.
You gotta really market that thing and it has to grow.
Right. And you have to enforce your exclusive right to use it. Like if 3 other companies came along and also started calling themselves Best Whisk, then if you're Best Whisk, you wouldn't be able to say, well, everybody recognizes my company as Best Whisk. And it's like, well, dude, there are 3 other companies out there using Best Whisk. We don't know who's who. So no, we're not giving you a trademark. Right. So, you know, it has to be exclusive use. Right? Because remember, it's a source identifier. We're using that name or that symbol to identify your company, not your company and Bob's company and Jane's company and, you know, Michael's company, your company. So you have to exclusively use it. But it's hard to enforce your exclusive right to a trademark when you don't have a registration, right? So, you know, you're going to have to do a lot of saber battling and intimidation on that one.